Hi, I'm Andrew Smith with the Virginia Farm Bureau's Governmental Relations Department.
And I'm Stephanie Talon, also Virginia Farm Bureau Government Relations. Welcome to Friend of the Farm Chats, where we sit down with legislators from the House and Senate Agriculture Committees and get to know them a little bit better.
Today, Stephanie, we're happy to have Delegate Wendy Gooditis from the 10th District in the House of Delegates. Delegate Gooditis is the Vice Chair of the House Agriculture Committee. Welcome, Delegate Gooditis. Could you start us off by telling us a bit about yourself and why you ran for office?
Good morning, and thank you. It's lovely to be here. I think in early 2017, I think February, I decided that I wasn't really happy with my representative in the House of Delegates, and no one seemed to be running against him. And I waited and waited for someone to step up, and nobody did. And so I got convinced by friends and husband to step up and run. I'm thankful, I think, to have a lot more women in the legislature and representing the women in Virginia. I think it was a good thing. So I have no regrets, and it's been a really wonderful experience.
That's great. Many of our viewers may know that you're an avid equestrian. Prior to joining the House Agriculture Committee, can you tell us about your ties that you had to agriculture or forestry?
Well, the equestrian, I've had horses most of my life since I was a little girl. And in my 20s, I was so into the sport of three-day eventing that I wound up on the short list for the United States equestrian team with not one, but two of my horses. And it's a real passion for me. We still have 5 horses. I look out the window and I can see them. So I've always lived in the country. I've always had very close friends of farmers and most of my neighbors, all neighboring farmland. And that holds true today. I've always had a deep admiration for the people who feed us, and these people don't have a 9-to-5 job and a guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks. What they do have is a real love for the earth and no fear of hard work and this powerful work ethic. And without them, we wouldn't eat. So that's the life in the country has brought about a lot of close ties to agriculture and a lot of admiration for the people who take care of us.
Delegate Gooditis, being down at the General Assembly, I'm always amazed at the different subjects that come up in the bills, and it's such an interesting learning experience. And I've heard delegates and senators say what they've learned by serving in the different committees. What have you learned during your time on the House Agriculture Committee?
Again, it's such a powerful experience to have people come and speak on both sides who care so very much about the issues. And you can't always look at someone and guess what they're going to say or what their feelings are. And the wide variety of people who care enough to get in their cars and drive to Richmond and be ready to speak at 7 o'clock in the morning on a topic that matters to them. And so our farmers who, some of our practices to protect the Chesapeake Bay aren't convenient for farmers, and they don't necessarily add to the farmer's bottom line. And yet, we give some subsidies and some encouragement, which is the right thing to do. But the fact that these people who have plenty to do in their day will concede to putting in improvements in order to save the Chesapeake Bay, which is miles and miles away from where they farm, I think it's really admirable. And that was something I learned. I also learned a lot about my ties to the oystering and clamming, processes on the bay, I had not thought of it before I went to Richmond, but I grew up with an uncle and cousin who are lifelong clammers. My uncle had, I think, the first hatchery on the East Coast when I was a little girl. And my cousin runs that hatchery to this day in New Jersey. And so when I was on that subcommittee for the last couple of years in the agriculture committee, I realized that so much of it sounded familiar. And so I feel like I even have a tie to that part of the world, but I have really learned about what the oystermen and the clammers need as well in the Chesapeake Bay. So every day is a learning experience on the ag committee. And that's a really good thing.
Can you tell us about your district and how agriculture and forestry fit into it?
Well, there's a lot of agriculture in this district. The district reaches from Leesburg in the east, across the southern half of Loudoun County, across the southern half of Clark, little bitty Clark County where I live, and the southeastern quadrant of Frederick County. So there's lots of agriculture. It's quite varied. There's forestry, right? I'm looking out the window at the mountain. There are a lot of forested pieces of land on the mountain. What I see from here is all forest. And Loudoun County has a whole lot of agritourism. Of course, we have Middleburg, so we have lots of horse farms. There are a lot of beef. We're losing our dairies one by one, which it's so very sad. And I want help finding answers to that, because dairy farmers are the best and the coolest, and we have to make sure that we don't lose them all to huge factory dairy farms that aren't even in Virginia. So we have the wineries and the breweries, which, you know, have become part of the agritourism world and are a huge draw. I think we have 1,400 farms in Loudoun County. We are beginning to have some hemp farms, which is great. And that is an industry that I'm sure we'll see grow. Here in Clark County, lots of horses, some beef, and both in Clark and Frederick County and in Loudoun County, there are big efforts on farmland preservation and land conservation, and it's going well. I mean, Loudoun County and Clark County in particular, I think, have done a really good job on saving agricultural land, and that's something I work on and want to keep doing that. So lots of ag out here.
Thank you, Delegate. And Stephanie and I both have a question, but before I ask mine, I want everybody to realize that Delegate Gooditis said that dairy farmers are the best and coolest. And somebody that grew up on a dairy farm and majored in dairy science, I really appreciate you saying that. But my final question is, when you think of agriculture and forestry, what do you think of?
I look out the window and I see it. It's a way of life. If we did not have the people, like I said, who are willing to get up at 5:30 if you're sort of a regular farmer, and 4 or 3 if you're a dairy farmer, you know, we wouldn't eat. We wouldn't have the ice cream. We wouldn't have our eggs in the morning. We're so fortunate to have people who want to do the work to feed us and risk not having a paycheck and the benefits that go along with it. I think that in this country, we've got to do a better job. And I think local farmers, the more local farmers that we can support, the safer our food is, the safer our the chain, the cycle of getting food to our tables is, and the less expensive it is. So this is something that a lot of people don't understand. They walk into the grocery store and they see a package of food and they don't think where it comes from, and that package that they just bought is the result of someone working very hard for not a lot of money. And we have to raise that awareness. I'm very thankful that farmers markets have taken off in the last number of years. That's a great thing. but not everybody has access to a close farmers market. We have to make sure that farmers markets are given every opportunity to thrive. There are things that we can do, but you know, I think of my uncle who is out on the bay, clamming at sunrise every single day of his life, and my cousin who still is. I think of the dairy farmer. I used to spend weekends on a dairy farm when I was in college and get up at 4 and help bring the cows in and get in everybody's way as they did their morning routine. Those are the people that we need to respect and support and look after. So that's what I think of.
Thank you.
Well, my last question is a tough one. What is your favorite Virginia grown product?
And that is a tough one. You should see me when I'm at a farmer's market. I think I'm going to go and I'm going to get some bread and some vegetables. And I come home with lavender soap and candles that smell beautiful and wreaths for my door, and just sadly more vegetables than I could possibly eat in a week. And ice cream, there's ice cream. I have to say, and I know I keep going back to dairy, I love the dairy products and local dairy products and cheeses. We have it's called Mount Airy Farm Market, but it's a store very close to me, and we're fortunate to have that. So that's year round with local produce and pies. So I don't know, it's very hard to say. I'd have to say baked goods and dairy products.
That's great. Well, we certainly appreciate your support of the dairy farmers and your support of Virginia farmers overall. And thank you for sitting down with us today. We greatly appreciate your time and enjoy getting to know you a little bit better. And as I mentioned earlier, I think many people knew about your ties to the horse world, but it was great to learn a little bit more about your family and how they're involved with oysters and other things as well. So thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you very much, Andrew and Stephanie. Much appreciated.
Thanks so much.